Mark Manson, Everything is cked, a book about hope. Welcome to the summary of Everything is cked, a book about hope, by Mark Manson. In this eye-opening read, Manson digs deep into the power of hope in driving human behavior and how it has helped us through the toughest of times. Yet, he reveals the dark side of hope and its link to the rising rates of anxiety and depression in the modern world. We'll explore the relationship between our thinking brain and feeling brain and how they interact in our decision-making processes. The following chapters examine the 4 laws of human emotion, the dangerous potential consequences of pursuing happiness, and the fascinating role of artificial intelligence in our evolving world. Embrace yourself for an insightful journey that challenges our understanding of hope, happiness, and human nature.
The power and peril of hope. Life's uncomfortable truth is that we are all mortal, confronting the risk of nihilism. Yet, hope has played a fundamental role in motivating us to keep going through tough times. An excellent example of the power of hope can be found in Witold Pilecki, who fought for an independent Poland and helped prisoners in Auschwitz. However, as the world seems to improve in many ways, the reliance on hope might have detrimental effects. As fear of losing what we have grows, anxiety and depression rise. Hope may be responsible for our perpetual anxiety. In our mortal existence, the cold, hard truth is that we will all face death, rendering our individual efforts relatively insignificant. It's challenging to accept this reality without slipping into a nihilistic mindset, wondering whether anything we do truly matters. Throughout history, hope has counteracted this existential threat, offering the driving force to endure hardships and strive for better futures. Hope motivates us, whether it's for our own well-being, our loved ones, or our communities. Consider the story of Witold Pilecki, who ardently believed in an independent Poland. His hope fueled him to join the resistance, infiltrate Auschwitz, and provide aid to prisoners for 2 years. Even during his inevitable execution, he maintained hope and felt joy in having fought for his people. Pilecki's tale demonstrates the sheer power of hope in seemingly insurmountable circumstances. However, as the world appears to improve overall, with lower rates of violence, poverty, and war, and greater human rights, hope might be evolving into a double-edged sword. Instead of looking to the future with hope, many people today fear the potential loss of what they already have. This shift might explain the rising rates of anxiety and depression in recent years, even as various aspects of life have improved. Consequently, it's important to consider how our reliance on hope, in all its life-sustaining strength, might simultaneously be contributing to our ongoing anxiety. Balancing rationality and emotions. The scientific approach of famous authors like Steven Pinker and Hans Rosling, which focuses on data-driven perspectives, addresses only our logical thinking brain and ignores the crucial role our feeling brain plays in decision-making. Such imbalance can lead to misguided hope and incorrect decisions. Ultimately, it's essential to establish a harmonious connection between our thinking and emotional brains to make better choices in life. While data-driven views from authors, such as Steven Pinker and Hans Rosling, encourage us to be optimistic about the world's progression, their heavy focus on logic targets only our thinking brain. Consequently, this approach overlooks the importance of our feeling brain, which houses our emotions and inevitably influences our decisions. Comprehending the problem with hope entails addressing both sides of our psyche. Many people hold the misconception that only relying on our rational minds would lead to better life outcomes and enhanced productivity. However, that's far from reality. A critical case study is that of Elliot, a man who lost his capacity for emotions after a brain tumor removal. Contrary to expectations, Elliot didn't turn into an ultra-efficient individual. Instead, this lack of emotions caused him to neglect important events in his life, costing him his job and family. The lesson from Elliot's story showcases how it's vital to have harmonious communication between our thinking and emotional brains. To illustrate further, imagine your goal is to stop consuming junk food. While the thinking brain acknowledges the detrimental effects on your health, the feeling brain interprets this data and assigns values to the decision. A negotiation between the two is necessary because the feeling brain could easily overrule the rational aspect, convincing us that indulging in junk food is a wise choice. To thwart being deceived by our emotions, it's essential to understand the dynamics between our rational and emotional mindsets. Emotional laws, hope and unhappiness. Understanding the 4 laws of human emotion is crucial for personal growth and overcoming negative thought patterns. These consist of equal emotional reactions, self-worth over time, identity change through experiences, and our tendency to gravitate towards like-minded individuals. By acknowledging these laws, we can begin to comprehend our emotional state and work towards fostering hope and a more fulfilling life. In our journey towards happiness, comprehending the 4 laws regulating our emotions can help us overcome obstacles and empower growth. The first law states that our emotions react in proportion to external events. For instance, when facing an unpleasant situation, such as being punched, our emotional response matches the intensity of the action. This pain creates a moral gap reflecting the disparity between the present injustice and our notion of fairness, which triggers a desire to close that gap through an equivalent reaction. However, when we cannot act upon this desire, the second law takes effect. Our self-worth is determined by the accumulation of our emotions over time. In instances where negative experiences are continuous and unavoidable, our brains will compensate by shifting our morality and accepting the adversity as justified, a phenomenon often observed in victims of abuse. This moral shift alters our perception, establishing a negative norm that affects our beliefs and becomes challenging to eradicate. The third law suggests that our identities persist until a contradictory experience incites a change. It highlights the fundamental role our formative experiences and corresponding narratives play in shaping our identities, and how change can only occur through opposing events. An example of this principle can be witnessed in the stubbornness of political extremists. Altering their stance necessitates contradicting experiences rather than logical arguments. Lastly is the law of emotional gravity, which emphasizes our natural inclination to surround ourselves with like-minded people. While most individuals share universal desires, we often emphasize the minor differences that segregate us. Consequently, we may initiate conflicts over these differences and overlook the larger commonalities. Through the understanding and recognition of these 4 emotional laws, we can gain insight into our emotions and challenge detrimental thought patterns. Only then can we strive for hope, positive change, and lasting happiness in our lives. Embracing Amor Fati. To build a new religion or belief system, you could sell hope to a targeted group of hopeless individuals, create rituals, and discredit critics. However, these systems become inevitably corrupted by human fallibility. Friedrich Nietzsche argues that the real issue is the dependency on hope, which separates everything into good and bad. Nietzsche urges embracing Amor Fati, or love of one's fate, accepting life and death as they are and focusing on the present rather than hope for change. Beginning a new religion or belief system, one can strategically sell a form of hope to people yearning for something better. By crafting rituals and discrediting opposing views, new followers may be convinced to support their leader. Despite the intentions behind these systems, they often become corrupted by human desires for money, power, or self-aggrandizement. German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche identified the core flaw of belief systems, their foundation on human imperfection. This inevitable corruption often leads to conflict between competing beliefs. Nietzsche posited that hope itself played a significant role in these issues. By categorizing things as good or bad, hope essentially breeds unhappiness and discontent, making everything feel fucked. To counter this, Nietzsche urged moving beyond conventional paradigms of good and evil. By accepting life, death, and our inherent insignificance, we can confront uncomfortable truths and direct our focus on the present moment. He coined the term Amor Fati, or love of one's fate, to describe this acceptance of life and its imperfections. By embracing Amor Fati, we can shed the dependency on hope that often creates conflict and unhappiness in our belief systems. This shift in perspective can help us concentrate on the wonder of what is happening now, rather than being consumed by hope for a changed future. Kant's formula for humanity. Immanuel Kant, an influential philosopher, believed that every human has inherent dignity that deserves respect, and he was an early advocate for animal rights. His simple formula for humanity asks individuals to treat others as an end, not merely as means to achieve something. This ideology aligns with Nietzsche's Amor Fati, as it encourages people not to act with the expectation of receiving something in return. By adopting these principles as adults, we can make better decisions and pursue the right actions despite challenges or discomfort. Immanuel Kant's philosophical contributions are vast, and many of his ideas form the basis of contemporary discussions in various fields. One of Kant's most significant achievements was envisioning a world of unity and peace under a global government. His thought subsequently laid the groundwork for the United Nations. Additionally, Kant emphasized the importance of human dignity and was an early supporter of animal rights. One of Kant's core beliefs was that humans should act with an innate sense of responsibility and respect. His simple formula for humanity states, act that you use humanity, whether in your own person or in the person of any other, always at the same time as an end, never merely as a means. It implies that our behavior must not be driven by transactional expectations or selfish desires. Instead, we should be kind and considerate because it's inherently right. Nietzsche's Amor Fati concept echoes this belief by encouraging people to engage in acts that don't necessarily expect rewards or favorable outcomes. Kant teaches us to become responsible adults who value moral principles above pleasure. During childhood, we often act for immediate gratification without considering consequences. However, as we transition into adolescence and adulthood, we must develop strong principles that determine our actions. By understanding the difference between, I won't steal because I'll get caught, and I won't steal because it's wrong, we accept the need to make difficult or uncomfortable choices to do the right thing. Kant's formula for humanity is a reminder for all individuals to treat one another with respect, guided by moral principles that ultimately contribute to a thoughtful and compassionate society. Democracy versus pursuit of happiness. Democracy is considered the best form of government, despite its flaws, as it embraces the corrupting nature of politics and supports other social and ideological beliefs. However, the pursuit of happiness and democracy don't blend well. Striving for happiness jeopardizes democracy by making individuals intolerant to diverse viewpoints and adverse circumstances. Democracy thrives on virtues such as honesty, courage, and humility, which develop only when people face difficulties and interact with differing opinions. People's growing reluctance to respect opposing views endangers democracy. Nietzsche highlights that the human pursuit of happiness makes them unsuitable for democracy, as this pursuit often overpowers their tolerance for dissent. Consequently, individuals prioritize their opinions and happiness above democracy, leading to the formation of extremist groups and eventual tyranny. On top of this, chasing happiness is a futile effort, as studies indicate that happiness levels usually return to their baseline after temporary increases. The blue dot effect demonstrates that humans adapt to reduced unpleasant experiences by becoming sensitive to minor issues that previously didn't bother them. Ultimately, embracing adversity and promoting virtues would allow democracy to prosper. Deceptive advertising and diversions. The rise of anxiety and depression in modern times has two primary drivers, one being the shift in advertising tactics that exploit personal insecurities, and the other being the proliferation of technological diversions that impede our sense of true freedom. Rather than fostering happiness, these diversions trade genuine freedom for superficial satisfactions and convenience. The landscape of advertising underwent a monumental change in the 1920s when marketers began to target people's emotional brain, rather than the thinking brain. Instead of highlighting a product's efficiency or special features, advertisements focused on tapping into an individual's insecurities or pain points. The objective evolved from convincing the consumer of a product's value to making them believe the product would improve their self-perception. This shift alone already has detrimental effects on the human psyche, but when innovation began turning into diversion, the consequences became even more profound. During a nation's transition to first world status, innovation generally causes an upsurge in happiness. However, happiness tends to plateau or decline subsequently as the focus deviates from innovation to diversions that prey on consumers' insecurities and sell them unnecessary products. This, providing what people want, rhetoric is often seen as a mark of freedom, with choices abound. But the truth is, having numerous options leads to more diversions, which reduces our actual freedom. Our technological obsessions make certain tasks easier, but introduce compulsive behaviors that strip away our autonomy. True freedom lies in simplifying and limiting distractions in life, like deleting a social media account to regain time and focus. While technologically driven diversions continue to impede our sense of genuine freedom, there may still be a silver lining to this concerning trend that we'll explore in the next section. Embracing AI for humanity's future. In 2018, Google's AlphaZero AI astounded the world by defeating the reigning chess champ, Stockfish, along with dominating in shogi, a Japanese version of chess. AI and algorithms are infiltrating numerous aspects of our everyday lives. Rather than fearing AI, we ought to allow AI to lead our future, as it might help humanity overcome our inherent illogical tendencies and achieve a more prosperous and peaceful world. When Google introduced its artificial intelligence (AI) program, AlphaZero, at a chess tournament in 2018, spectators were left in awe. Previously unbeatable, Stockfish had been the winning chess program for 4 years, being able to analyze 70 million positions per second. Yet AlphaZero, which could only process 8,000 positions per second and had never played chess before, managed to beat or draw with Stockfish in 100 matches. Astonishingly, AlphaZero also mastered shogi, a Japanese chess variant, on the same day, winning 90 out of 100 matches against champion program Elmo. Given these astounding advances, it's evident that AI and algorithms are becoming increasingly integral to our lives. Many fear the potential threats that AI could bring, as prominent figures like Elon Musk have warned. However, AI may be the key to unlocking humanity's best outcomes. Humans inherently struggle with illogical behaviors and actions, resulting in atrocities such as chemical warfare, domestic violence, and money laundering, to name a few. AI, however, doesn't fall prey to our contradictory tendencies. There's potential for AI to recognize humanity's ongoing issues and devise superior methods to approach them. This might lead to a world where humans can prosper while nurturing the environment, moving us towards a new era devoid of ideological and religious warfare. Hence, we should hope that AI can help us achieve our full potential before we, as humans, manage to destroy ourselves. Acknowledging AI's capabilities, we must embrace these technological advancements as a driving force for good, guiding humanity towards the best possible version of itself.
In conclusion, Mark Manson's Everything is cked, a book about hope, uncovers the intricacies and potential problems of hope and its influence in our lives. Hope can be powerful, but also misleading, and may contribute to feelings of anxiety and depression. By understanding the importance of both the thinking brain and feeling brain, as well as the principles of Nietzsche's Amor, Fati, and Kant's Don't Be an Asshole, we can enter adulthood with a more nuanced approach to life. It's also vital to recognize the impact of advertising, technology, and the never-ending pursuit of happiness on both our individual freedoms and the stability of democracy. Ultimately, exploring the potential benefits and drawbacks of AI can provide a fresh perspective on our quest to become the best versions of ourselves. Let this book challenge and inspire you to reevaluate our collective understanding of hope and the human experience.